And one of the things that I've came across recently, in fact, as lately as before I came into the studio today, was someone that had says, look, Gio, we know that you're involved in property. We'd love to ask for a bit of advice. And they explained the situation. And the situation was that they had put money into essentially a company that suggested that they could build them a portfolio and get them started in property. And I'm hearing more and more of this. And one of the things I'm seeing a lot of is that the dream that's being sold and how easy it is isn't what's delivered. And this is mainly because the player twos that they're signing up with are not quite as sharp and not quite as shrewd as they're making out to be. And if you've got someone there that's a player three that has some capital but has no experience, this is a tricky situation to be in. So what do you do when you're in that situation? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand who you're dealing with. And it's great when you speak to people. It's not great that they've got to the situation that they've needed to come to someone like myself where they say, look, can you give us a bit of a heads up on where we're at? Because it means that something's not went to plan. However, you're better finding that out early, because if you have lost some money investing in the wrong person, it means that you're not investing in the wrong property. Because I mean, if you think you can lose a few quid investing in the wrong person, you can lose 10 or 20 times that investing in the wrong property. And that's where a player four comes in. A player four is someone that has capital and has wisdom and experience. And generally what happens is player fours will only selectively deal with certain other players, 1 through 3. And the reason that they don't deal with it is that because they have capital, so they've got no requirement to engage with a player 3, and they have all the experience, so they've got no requirement to engage with a player 2. And generally what will happen is they will have lots of really super efficient player 2s that will do these jobs for them, and they provide the capital backing and the oversight to make sure that that's done. So it's a very, very, very good. It's a very good thing to have if you've got a player 4, and they might be able to guide and steer you the right way, because the player 4 will understand the 5 component parts of being successful in property. And to give you a rundown of what they are, you've got financing, which is figuring out how you finance a project. So that's really number one. You've got the legal aspect, which is considering the contracts, how you get a purchase completed, what you should look out for, what you're protected for, how do you get the land title transferred and things like that. The next thing is regulation. So regulation can span from what you can do with the property all the way through to what's the current rules with what you're doing. So if it's, for instance, a house of multiple occupancy, do you require a license? Is it traditional buy-to-let? Are you going to be renting that out? What does the contracts need to look like? What do you need to have in place? Then the next stage that you've got is structure. So how you actually structure that deal when you put it together. So how are you going to put these pieces of the puzzle together? And you need to do that in a structured way. And one of the big things you need to work out is is this thing going to be profitable? So when you work out the numbers in terms of, if I bought this property and carried out a strategy, whether it be, buy to add some value, do some work to the house, try and increase its value and sell it on, what's my costs involved in doing that, and what would I likely get in terms of a sale? And then when I get a sale, what would I be left with? And to do that, you would need to know, tax regulations, any situations with early repayment charges with mortgages if you take borrowing, and what's the costs in doing the legal work throughout. And the last thing that you need is obviously the building element, in terms of if you're carrying out the refurbishment work, you're going to need someone that knows what they're doing in terms of managing a project. So when you have those 5 pieces in play, what you're able to do is you're able to structure things so that you can stack the odds in your favour. And stacking the odds in your favour gives you an advantage, because what it means is that you're going to have less likelihood of a fail, or you're going to have more likelihood of success and less likelihood of failure. Because what you essentially want to do with any investment, and this isn't specific to property, it's across the board, and essentially any venture that you take on, the more you can stack the odds in your favour and the more you can have a higher chance of success, the better results that you're going you're going to find. That might seem like an obvious comment, and you might go, should you really need to tell anyone this? But take my 20 years doing this. You would not believe the extremely intelligent, extremely smart people that have brought to me a deal or a structure of a purchase that they think is a good idea. And it takes me about 10 seconds to go, this thing's garbage. And you would normally, it's when you start to go through that process of understanding what it takes to make these things work. Now, can you learn it? Absolutely you can. And can you make it successful and can you make a lot of money? 100%. There is no doubt in my mind that you can make it successful in the property industry, in the property market. But if you get things in the wrong order or you do things in the wrong way, it's not a guaranteed success. And it's a bit like if you, try to drive your car and you wanted to, just only use reverse gear. At some point in time, you're going to clatter into something, or maybe you decide you want to ride a horse backwards, or just something that's obviously not in the right way. You would just go, look, this isn't going to work, or the proverbial, you're putting the cart in front of the horse. So doing things in the right order and in the right way is the key to it. And you would not believe how easy it is for people to get them in the wrong order. And it can be things all the way from overspending on a refurbishment to underestimating how long something like that takes, or there's, the work that they're doing requires planning permission, and that's an 8-week delay to get planning permission that they didn't anticipate, all the way through to they used this finance product and didn't realise it was an early repayment charge, and they've not factored that into their costs, and now they're not making as much money as they should. So there's a whole raft of things that can be tricky but are easy to overcome when you have the right knowledge. And what you'll find with a player 4 is they will have the right knowledge. And what you'll find with player 2s is some of them will have the right knowledge and some of them won't. And what you'll find with player 1s is some of them are sounding like player 2s. So if you're a player 3 out there, right, and your goal, this is what will sound like if you're a player 3, you have money and you have an idea that property is what you want to get into, and you have capital and you have experience elsewhere that allows you to work out that property is a good idea, but you don't necessarily have the experience and wisdom in doing this. So you think it's a really good idea to buddy up with someone, bring them up on a consultancy basis, or maybe you want to come to some agreement in terms of how they are paid, give them a slice of the action on whatever deal you're doing, whatever it may be. There's many, many ways to skin a cat. But you have a situation where you're looking for the person that you should get involved with. And because in this day and age, information is so easy, it's so readily available, it's quite easy for someone with no experience to sound like they have a lot of experience. When you hear something like social proof and how you present things and building your personal brand, which are, look, don't get me wrong, they're all great, but there's also that you can over-promise the skills that you have, or people can have a perception or an expectation that you're way better than you actually are. And that's fine if you're dealing with 20, 30 quid, 40 quid, whatever, not insignificant sums of money. But if you're a player 3 and you're looking to deploy significant capital and you're looking at purchases at 2, 3, 4, 5, £600,000, it's probably wise that you get involved with the right people. And that can be a tricky dynamic.